Today we are here with Lenny Dumont, and we're going to talk about your life and your long music career. So you were born in Livelong, Saskatchewan.
That's right.
And was your father a farmer there?
No, he had bought land at a different place. But,
Okay. And
I
so
think we were just renting
okay.
a house there. And that's where I was born.
Right.
And
so eventually your family moved a couple times. You eventually were in Maidstone, Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
And that's where you went to school.
That's right. I went from grade 1 to 12.
Was it a big school?
Yeah, they had two schools actually in Maidstone. They had up to grade 8, I think, in one old school ahead, and they built a new one.
And you learned to play guitar while you were in elementary school? Or had you started even younger?
I did buy a guitar. My mother saved enough money and ordered one from Eaton's catalog, I believe it was. And I have that guitar today yet.
Nice.
Actually, I willed it to my son.
Oh, good.
He's not a musician, but he wanted to keep a few things of mine.
Yes. And so you had got a Mel Bay guitar instruction book. And so you taught yourself out of that book?
That's where I got started in learning the chords that they were teaching. It's just quite a simple book anyway, so it was easy to follow if I wanted to work at it, and I did. So I did work, but that's not the only help I had. In the fall, as the fall comes around, farmers needed people to help them out, and there was a lot of people came from the north, more northern country, like Meadow Lake and up in there. And some of them, I noticed, had guitars and stuff they knew how to play and sing. So if we'd have a party or something after a hard day's work, I would closely watch the person that was playing his guitar and watching him change chords. There was only about the songs they were singing were country all the time. There was only about 3 chords to handle a country song. There were more, as I grew more into music and more guitar playing, I could add 2 or 3 more chords in the same song.
How old?
Back then, it was just a simple thing, and nobody really had been schooled. I think they were doing this by ear, but it still, of course, interested me because that's where I was. I hadn't started playing guitar till I was about 14. And
so you were 14 when you got the first guitar?
Yeah, I was.
Okay. And so we're talking late 40s. So country and western was really big then.
Right.
Right.
I was born in 35, so 45, I was 10. I'll be close to 1950.
Yeah. And did your family have a record player? Did you listen to the radio? How did you learn songs?
Yeah, we did have an old record player, a few songs. We didn't have many. But we had radio and tuned in station with North Battleford, I think, is our best station to move to. And they played lots of country music then. The music on the radio stations were all just old country. What we say is old country.
Right.
For now, there's new country and there's
Yeah.
old country.
Yeah.
Older people that grew up with old country still like it,
Yeah.
even today. And but anyway, I learned old Hank Williams was in the top, one of the top singer back then. And today there's some musicians still recording Hank's songs.
Yeah.
So he had a lot of songs out.
And
they kind of fit in with this new stuff because some of them are recording it.
Right. Do you remember as a teenager some of your favorite songs to play? Or songs that you thought you were the best at?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Quite a few of the songs that I'd hear on Hank Williams sing pretty well. I just chose the ones that I thought I could play my guitar on because I was learning my guitar as well as songs. But I'd come home from school at noon hour, lunch. First thing I do is after I had my lunch is I had time to learn another song or something like that. Right. And that's what I would be doing that.
Did you have any teenage friends that you played music with at all?
I did have one friend of mine when I changed to playing fiddle.
Okay.
My father played fiddle, so that kind of helped me along because he could play, show me a few things.
Right. Do you think your dad was your biggest influence?
He was, I think. Yeah, pretty much.
And had he played in bands before you were born?
There weren't any so-called bands. They get a guy with an accordion, and a guy with a fiddle and a guitar. That was your band. And there's usually in the country, usually somebody can play at least fiddle. Yeah. Fiddle and guitar. So that's about as far as my dad played. He didn't play lots. He wasn't always at home because he was away working. There wasn't, in these years before, in the 40s, there still wasn't much money around because of the drought that was on from the early 30s. He had late 29s, actually. Yeah. And there's just nothing. That's the way we got to, in Maidstone, my dad sold, he had, I think, 40 acres parcel of land. And he sold it to some farmer that was looking for, well, he'd go around buying land if he could get it cheap enough. And so Dad went to Maidstone before we moved, of course, and then there was a house for sale there, and he had the money, so he bought a house which didn't have electricity or anything in, but it was a lot nicer house than I had lived in previously. We lived in, well, I can't say how long because I was just born in 35, so. But we were poor and still got along. I can't say that we ever got hungry. We were short of some good foods I could eat and stuff like that. But we managed. We always had a garden, so we done most of that.
How old were you then when you started to play the fiddle?
Well, that's another thing. We had moved to a house, which is by the river, Saskatchewan River. And it was there that my dad had showed me a few little things. I don't imagine it was too great, but anyway, I had just started school about when I was 4.5 or something like that, 5 years old, and there was some kind of a concert they had put on at the school, and I had attained a ukulele, I think, and a violin. I had 2 instruments. And when it was my turn to go up on the stage, they had a curtain there. And then my mother went back down to her seat and when they announced that when they pulled the curtains, they announced that my name was coming up. But I hadn't waited for that. I had been playing already before my time was supposed to be. So when they pulled the curtain here, I was playing already. I have a picture of me playing a ukulele, but I don't have one of me playing the fiddle at that time. I must have learned the fiddle a little earlier. But I guess it went over okay.
Did you have any music classes ever while you were in school with like all the kids?
Yeah, no. I only attended that school is when my dad had went to Maidstone and bought this house. And then we had to, I had a brother, older brother, and an older sister by this time. And when my older brother, who was 12 years old, got sick, I don't know what kind of thing it was, but they took him to Lashburn, which is about maybe 25 miles from where we were living. Of course, we'd have to cross the river to get to Lashburn from where we were living. And one day I was outside and I noticed all these bald-headed eagles, big eagles, were sitting on top of the river bank, and I could see them really well. And they were spread out, their wings spread out, and they stayed in that position for a while. I don't know how long it was, but I took, at that time, apparently we lost my oldest brother. He hadn't gotten better with whatever he had. I never did know when he got to the hospital, but he passed away. And with all those eagles doing that, I'd never seen him do something like that again. It was kind of an omen, I would say, and telling me that my brother had passed away at 12 years old. So anyway, we got through all that, and then we had to move to Maidstone. We bought that house. And to move across, we had 4 horses, I think, hooked to a wagon with all of what we had to move. And there were, by the riverbanks, there's always a riverbank on either side of the river, of course. And it was really scary going down the bank. I know they tied a rope to some trees as long as the rope could bring us down it, and to help the horses hold the wagon back from if it ever got away, that would have been the end of everything we owned. Anyway, we got through, and crossing the river was nothing, not very hard. Got through there and climbed the next hill out of there, and then we finally got out by a little bit north and west of Maidstone, through a place called Waseca. So anyway, we ended up getting to Maidstone, and from then we were just new people in town again. We were Métis people, and I started school when we got there then, when I was about 4 or 5. And it seemed all right to me. I was young. I didn't know much about living yet. And anyway, as time went on, it wasn't really, really bad, but we were always looked down upon on. For Métis, we were always looked down upon on. And but I was always friendly, sort of a shy guy, and I made some friends around there, so I'd have some place to go play or whatever. I wasn't into music or anything yet, just that I may have had a violin by then, but I don't recall.
Being Métis, were you ever bullied or verbally insulted, or?
Not to that extent. I think when I started school, younger kids always got along better than older. A little bit of that may have started when I was 12 or so, like that. There's always somebody trying to pick on you. Well, not always. There was times when that happened.
Were there any other Métis families living near Maidstone that you knew?
I knew, we didn't know anyone there, no. But there was one Métis family, fiddlers, and old man fiddler, Louis Fiddler, played fiddle. He was a better player than my dad. He was, I thought, really good, because I was just, starting into that. But anyway, one day at supper time, and it was my birthday, so that would have been November 28th. And he gave me a violin for my birthday. He had bought that violin from a lady, a Mrs. Cruikshank, I remember. And she said that violin was about 75 years old at least when she sold it. And it was a really nice violin. And my dad gave it to me then, and I still have that violin today, and I still using it. So right now, it must be about 170 so years old. But it had an accident. We were at a party, and I was playing the fiddle, and then I could play a few tunes by then. And I set my fiddle on a chair. My first big mistake. And somebody sat on it. And it did crack quite a bit. But in Saskatoon, I kind of dealt with Saskatoon Piano House. It was, and I was trying to think of the fellow's name that he done all the gluing and everything, and it's still today the same job that he done. So it's been at least 80 years since.
Nice. So
he must have been using pretty good glue.
Yeah.
To hold it together like that. But since then, I always babied my fiddle or instruments, my guitars.
So as a teenager, you were playing the fiddle and the guitar, and you also liked to play hockey.
Yeah.
Did Maidstone have a team?
Eh?
Did Maidstone have a hockey team?
They did, yes. We played towns, Turtleford, Neilburg, Lashburn, and the surrounding smaller towns. We had a pretty good hockey club. And
were you a good player?
I went skated as much as I could, and I became a pretty good skater. So I was always kind of small.
Yeah.
Like I still am today. But I was kind of small, but I played in the senior team. And we had couple of good coaches from Saskatoon. And it turned out that I was a good player, hockey player. And I don't know, I kept playing hockey till I moved away from Maidstone, actually. So I played at least 6 years hockey there.
So tell me about learning to play music by ear. How did that work for you?
Well, I just went ahead and always listened to the radio and went ahead and learned different songs. I would try it in different chords and stuff and pick the right chord so I could. I sang quite a bit because of the songs. But when I moved to Saskatoon, I didn't sing hardly until quite a few years later. I stayed with playing guitar. I was the only backup guitars. But I'll come back to that. Anyway, I had a few jobs around Maidstone after I was done grade 12 school. And I was working with this guy at harvest time and driving in a truck. And he, along by the combine, as the combine filled up, we just keep going. So we drove a truck along, and I had a sister living in Saskatoon, and a brother-in-law had told me that he could get me a job in a body shop in Saskatoon. So I was going to go at that time, but with the guy that was the farmer that I was working for, asked if I could stay on for another week or so. He said, whoever you're going to work for would probably maybe think more of me if I stayed and finished. Well, this guy finished his harvesting. So that's what I done, and I ended up moving to Saskatoon.
And that was in 1956 you came? You were 21 years old?
Yeah, about 1956. And I was trying to play more and more all the time. One good thing I was watching when I got to Saskatoon was CFQC TV had a half-hour show, I think at noon hour, of musicians playing. And they had a duo, two brothers from Edmonton, called Frankie Rogers and his brother Hank. Frankie played the violin and was a terrific player. He played a lot of double stop stuff, and I really got to like that sound. But I was trying to play guitar more at that time, and Hank played guitar as well as steel guitar, so he played both. And I saw him play fingerstyle guitar like Chet Atkins would be doing. So I really loved what he was doing, and I'd watch him all the days that he was on before I got the job. And of course I wouldn't get to see him at noon hour anymore, but I liked the way he was doing that fingerstyle. He was using thumb on the bass strings, and his other fingers picking up the melody of the songs that he was playing. But there's a lot of people playing called fingerstyle playing. They were using fingers, but they weren't playing the bass notes along with the song they were doing. They just pick with their fingers. So that was fingerstyle playing, but a kind of a different one than Chet was doing. So I learned more of Chet's stuff and used my thumb more. And I really like that playing. That Chet always was such a genius guitar player. He'd know what songs would fit, because you had to use, in order to use your bass notes, you had to find a chord that you could use these bass notes to match your melody song. So I got into it, and I look around and always try to find somebody else that plays that style. I guess there was a few around Saskatoon, but they were just guys playing at home, not going out publicly. Anyway, I kept playing that and got more and more records and stuff like that I learned by ear. So that was working out pretty good. I could find the chord that Chet uses for a certain number, and he was putting out a lot of his own stuff out at that time.
Right.
And I never got to see anybody else other than somebody on TV playing. So there wasn't too many around Saskatoon just coming out and playing someplace. But there was a music store in Saskatoon, and it was run by Gordy Brandt. And Gordy's, I'd go down there and fool around on the guitar or something, and he figured I was kind of doing it right anyway, whatever right was then, but he thought I was doing it the right way, and he got to be a friend of mine, and really good guy. Anyway.
When did you switch to an electric guitar?
Oh, I don't know how long after I got Saskatoon, but I ended up at the piano house, and there were nice people in there. And I did buy a Gibson, a very thin model, and it was a nice guitar. And I started playing a little bit of more stuff that when you play, I was playing, I never did go into Fender for a while, but I was playing T60 PVs. They were one of the top guitars down in Nashville anyway. A friend of mine, well, not really, well, he was a friend. Chet Atkins, right-hand man, Paul Yandell, was said that the PV guitars were some of the best ones out at that time for recording. He always done lots of record recording and stuff like that. So anyway, I just kept plugging on. I met a guy named Abe Chubak. He was an accordion player, a Ukrainian fella, and he was looking for a guitar player. So I said I would join if he was making a band. That's when I met George Jansen. He was a bass player. George played some guitar too. So it was kind of fun. George has been we played together 35 years, just not with the same bands all the time, but as we go along for 35 years until he passed away. Such a good friend of mine. And
so that was your first band, and that was the Mavericks?
Yeah. When we got to, actually, when I met Abe, we did have a band, and another cousin of his played drums. So we had 4-piece band going, and we played Ukrainian weddings. So I played as much fiddle as I could on there, because the fiddle was one of the main ones that really Ukrainian people like, as well as accordion, and Abe. So we had a band, and I was enjoying it.
Is this the band in your black and white photo?
This year, black and white, is the fella on the right side playing the violin was Bud O'Shea. He was a brother to, there's Red Shea, he used to play guitar for Lightfoot. Well, that was his brother. Anyway, and Joe Kawchuk, the other tall guy beside him, is still in town here and still playing. And then I was playing, that's a Gibson that I first owned, playing that Gibson. And there's Lorne, I didn't know him very well, but he played a steel guitar. Chuck Rychuk playing the bass.
What year is this photo?
This is in 59.
Okay.
And
you were recording something for CKBI radio?
Yeah. We were doing an opening of a garage with this band. The guy that was working the radio or in PA, this was in Prince Albert. Stenning? No. I kind of forget his name. He got us the job to play there.
What?
And later on got us other jobs too.
Was that your first band?
Yeah, that was actually the first band. Well, I played with that Ukrainian band first.
Oh, okay.
And then I used to chum around with Bud O'Shea, the fiddle player. He played five-string banjo also, so I kind of learned banjo from him. But I was still playing fiddle.
Was the Ukrainian band still when you were in Maidstone, or had you already moved to Saskatoon?
I never did have a band, but we did play a few dances with my dad.
Okay.
Playing fiddle. But we never had a bass guitar player. There was...
Right.
We never didn't seem to get a hold of one.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a couple of bands that I played in first, and I was liking it. Playing quite a bit of stuff. Learning something all the time. I would be at home. I was as bad when I come to Saskatoon as I was a kid at home, I think, because I would play every minute. And I wasn't married yet, so I had lots of time to spend. And after playing with these guys, I think George Jensen and myself started up a band. And it was called Mavericks, we call ourselves. We had, I had George Jansen on bass. Bill Dole was our singer and played guitar and rhythm. And he said he knew about 400 songs offhand. Wouldn't need words or anything. And then had Ray Stifter playing drums. Ray was originally accordion player, and he was a good one. He played really good. I'm not a real lover of accordion music, but Ray was good, a good musician, and he got our timing, really good in different chords and stuff. But he was doing a good job on the drums, and he could see just very little. He was considered blind, actually. And but he just loved music, and he was good. So we started in about late 60s, I think, they started having music in clubs, small bars around Saskatoon within, say, 60 miles or so. We would travel to and play some clubs. We played Rosetown lots. Then we played Kindersley and Lanigan the other way. And we come up with some pretty good jobs. But we held the day job down also. By this time, I had been working in the water shop I mentioned earlier on with my brother-in-law, Dick Collier, got me a job there. But we started really enjoying what we were doing, but when we played Rosetown, it was one of our closest ones to the city. We would play, I think we kind of started off Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So we'd drive out Thursday evening after work, play Thursday night, come home the same night, and work next day. Same thing on Friday night. No, I'm wrong there, because when we went out to play Friday night, we could stay Saturday then, of course, and Sunday, and the hotel would give us rooms to stay in. So the last 2 nights we got some rest anyway, so that was pretty good. But the farther away we drove, it was getting harder, because you're working all day and playing all night. It's not the greatest thing. Musicians are crazy, yeah. I call them. You travel bunch of miles, you travel quite a bit, especially in winter when holiday time, you get more money the farther you go. And this picture I've got on there now is that was my second or third good guitar. I had a PV before, and this one I traded my Gibson for a PV guitar. And then when I was playing more Chet Atkins stuff, I thought I should try to get a Gretsch. So this was a 6920 Gretsch, and I bought that in 58. For the first 30 years I owned that guitar, I never played another guitar. I played that for 30 years straight. And that's when I sold my PV, and I went into Fender a little bit. I got a Telecaster.
Tell me, when the Mavericks were traveling to all these towns, you had to cart an entire PA system to all these events, and what kind of vehicle and gear did you have for the band?
Yeah, we had probably about a six channel PA system, and we had those speakers that were about maybe 12 inches wide and 5 feet tall. So we have 2 of those speakers. And then we eventually put some speakers in front of us for monitors, which sure helped a lot. Made playing a lot easier when you can hear what you're doing. and what you should be doing. Anyway, it was fun. It's a fun thing.
Did the Mavericks learn any songs that were brand new hits on the radio? Or were you playing all older country?
Yeah, Bill used to sing the odd one, yeah. Mostly old-time country stuff, though.
Yeah. So did you play polkas and waltzes as well?
When we got a dance job, we would, because we had a good variation. Because we had Ray could play accordion, George played bass. We always kept him on the bass, and Bill would sing songs, and I would play fiddle when I wasn't doing any lead on the guitar. So we could play just about any kind of music. Well, not every kind, but the kind that we got hired out for. Yeah. We had the people right out. We wouldn't have to hire anybody. We just changed around. Of course, we never had drums, but if you have a good bass player and somebody strumming the guitar, yeah, we made it all right. We played a lot of dances, but then we enjoyed playing the clubs more. It was getting a little closer to being better, I think.
Mm-hmm. Were the Mavericks ever on radio or TV?
Mavericks, we never did do much radio work or anything with the Mavericks. We played together for about 8-10 years, I think. So we always had enough jobs.
Yeah.
And then we got into this band kind of went apart. I can't remember. Bill was getting married, our singer.
Okay.
So he was kind of dropping out. He was a Mennonite boy, very, very good lad. We all got along so well. That's one thing about that Mavericks band. But then I went into, George and I decided, well, we're not going to quit. We're going to see if we can round up enough guys to make another band. So I knew some guys. I knew Don Pfeiffer, played the fiddle, and he played some bass also. And of course, George on bass. And I think we call that band Driftwood, Driftwood #1. And then we had Ken Adair was our drummer. And who else would we need? Oh, and then myself, I guess. I was playing fiddle. I was singing a little more again. Like I dropped out of singing when I moved from Maidstone and stuck to more playing lead guitar. And then we traveled those same hotels that wanted entertainment. And
so before Driftwood, you were in Solero?
Pardon?
You were in Solero before Driftwood?
No, it was after.
After, okay.
We went to Driftwood. I also had Irene Claypole was singing singer. She was a really nice lady. She's a very good singer. She played guitar as well. That was the first Driftwood band. And we played lots of country swing stuff too. So we weren't just playing old country songs up to there. With Ken drumming, he always put some different songs in there anyway. He helped sing the odd song. And we used Mike Schaefer on the guitar occasionally. I liked Mike. He was a good guitar player and a nice guy to play with. And so we got through. We played, I don't know, maybe 5-6 years with that band Solero, or Driftwood. That band Driftwood. Yeah. So Irene moved away, so we lost her. And Bill had gone, so we couldn't use him.
What year was Driftwood number 1 formed?
Pardon?
When was Driftwood number 1 formed?
Oh, it would be in the 80s, okay. I think. And we played, with Driftwood. We played it long, and I don't know what happened that we drifted apart. Anyway.
Well, it happens with musicians, for sure.
Yeah. And, but George and I never gave up. We, later on, but in the meantime, I was playing the odd job with Ken Soberald, and we got a band called Solero going. And we played lots at the Army Navy Club and Legion in town. We played lots at the Army Navy. And then along the way we done the same thing again with this band that's going out to some close by country hotels and stuff. And we got a job at the Marigold restaurant, which is on 3rd Avenue in Saskatoon. And we played there quite a while, actually. We
at the Marigold Cafe.
Pardon?
The Marigold.
Yeah. We played there. They changed when we got there. They ended up playing all week. Yeah. Now, we were still working at our day jobs. That was hard work for a musician, because you play all evening.
Yeah.
And some hotels stayed open a little later than others. And if we had a good crowd, we were asked to just play a little longer, of course. And
you were playing all country and western still at the Marigold?
We were still doing country, but we had a lot of songs, hit parade songs. I don't recall just what songs we done then, but Ken would learn some new ones, and both his sons played with us. Darcy was a keyboard guy, and I forget our drummer.
Harvey.
Harvey, yeah, that's right. Harvey was such a nice young guy. Really nice to play with. we got, besides playing the marigold, Ken worked for the government in the jail system, so he could get his jobs in. We played the men's jail in PA, the women's jail, and we played the penitentiary once, I think. To play the penitentiary, they wouldn't let women in there with our wives. Yeah. By the way, I had been married in the meantime in 1946. 46, I got married. That's going back quite a ways.
Yeah.
I should have mentioned that. Anyway, we to get in the penitentiary, we had to go through about 3 different gates before they let you. They check under the car and wherever else till we finally get in there. And when he set our stuff up, they'd finally bring the prisoners in so they could listen to us. And when they got to some of the prisons that were worse off, I guess, they'd roll them in on. They used to have little wagons on train stations when you used to take a train and to carry the whatever they had to move anyway. And they'd bring them on these wheels and really barred in on. So we got through them, and it was different, but we just do our regular stuff, not let it bother us, because they had guards all over us anyway.
Right.
But we played the boys or men's jail, walking up there in the bars, and you can see down 2 or 3 floors because there's just open bars, and you're just clanking, everything's clanking. That's quite a place. And we went, then we got a job to play the ladies' jail. And they'd let the women go in there with us. But my wife always said that she thought it was really funny, all the girls that were in jail would be flirting with the band all the time. It was good they let the bands entertain them. It was good for us. At that time we had I forget what you call it. You had to belong to a union, but music-based union, and you'd make so much money. So, and when you did go, you'd have to, you couldn't overcharge because it was paid by government and that. So we didn't make as much money, but it was different to do that kind of stuff.
So Solero started about 1973, and your lead singer, Ken, he also made a record. Were you part of that at all?
He made a record earlier.
Oh, okay.
In Nashville someplace. Okay. He did do that. Then we decided, well, let's do a record.
Okay.
And he got, I forget which place in town, they done it right in the city here. And they I didn't do any singing in there. They done three-way harmony for some songs, and it sounded quite nice. I done all of the instrument playing that was done. I played on that. I played guitar and fiddle, 5-string banjo, mandolin. That's about all.
And that was it. Was it a 45 that you made, or a full record?
No, it was
a single.
It was a CD actually.
Oh,
Put
okay.
on a CD.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Solero was one of the first bands to play at the Bar K in 1976.
We played there a few times. And there was always jam downstairs. We played, there used to be a couple of guys come from Edmonton, would come play the Bar K, but they wouldn't have a band with them. So they always used a local band. So we played there quite a bit for Jimmy Arthur Orge, a few different guys like that.
Right. And Solero also played at the Executive Motor Hotel downtown. It became the Capri.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's now the
Right
lighthouse.
The corner there.
Yeah.
That's where they had oh no, it wasn't, where they had a big fire and we lost a couple. Yeah. Well, one was a musician.
Okay.
And one wasn't.
Huh.
And Solero played the Army Navy Club lots as well as Legions.
He also played the Manhattan Ballroom.
Where?
The Manhattan Ballroom.
Oh, we played out there too, yeah. We played out there more with the Solero or Driftwood.
Okay.
But we may have played out there with Solero.
So
but
then,
anyway, after that band folded up, George Jensen and I got together again, and we were going to do another. We were going to make the Driftwood name, actually. Driftwood was my idea.
Okay.
That was to begin with. And so we ended up getting Glenn Adair on drums, of course, George on bass, and we got John Juneski. He played with us on that one, in that band, second one.
Right.
And then myself, and we had a 4-piece band again. This is the band that Mike Schaefer filled in a little more with us.
Right.
And
you also played the Prince Albert Casino many times.
Oh, yeah. I didn't think I was good enough to play all these places. That was one of my problems. I never did think I was good enough. And we did play, I think, just about 17 years or something there, not every weekend, but they had fiddle playing Monday on each Mondays. So, I didn't go there with the band, but I did go there with two fellows, good musicians. Well, the first off, what got me in there, Freddie Pelche was a guitar player, and he was from just a little ways from Duck Lake, actually, is where he was born. And so he asked me to get a couple of guys together and play there. He says, "Oh, you're good enough." Freddie. I like Freddie. He was a good friend of mine, still is. So I did talk Freddie to help me. So I used Freddie and a guy named Trent Brunner. He knew just about every fiddle tune that was tuned or written. Anyway, he never had any problem. He was a piano player. And I played there quite a while with them. Then when, I don't know if Freddie had married again by then, and he's training his wife to play rhythm guitar with him, and he was going to make a duo and travel around and do that. Where was I? I
You
was
also
at playing fiddle every Monday. Not every Monday night, but we'd get a job every couple months or so. And I used Lionel Gilbertson was a keyboard, and he just passed away about a month ago or so, maybe a little longer. And I had Don, oh boy, I having a tough time remembering names.
you played at the Folk Fest for 16 years with Mel Van Dale.
Right, yeah.
And then you also played Tenants near Nacum 20 years in a row, about?
Yeah, I'll come back to that one, yeah.
Okay.
Don Sawchuck, that's who played with me at the PA Casino on the fiddle days. That's right. Don was a good musician. He was a good guitar player. He played the mandolin. And Don and I had fun playing. I changed, when I played PA fiddle thing, I changed to play a little bit of guitar work also, just variation anyway. And Don and I used to have a lot of fun. We'd jam it up a little bit more, and it went over okay. But you had to play old-time fiddle. That was the best thing that went over at that place.
Yeah.
And let's see, what other band. When I played with Driftwood, the second, Driftwood number 2, we played the Marigold also. Some. Not as much as we did with Solero, but it was a fun place. Always drew good people there.
What would you say is the biggest crowd you've ever played for anywhere?
Well, we played out at Tenants out there, not too far from Watson, and there were thousands of people come there. His yard was, well, more than his yard, part of a field he had for parking, and pretty soon bigger trailers and big units used to come in there from all over the place. Lots from BC and Ontario. There was a lot of people come back every year. And he used to play in a band, and he wanted to start a jam at his farm. And he wanted to go 30 years, he had in his mind. We did make 30 years, but he was failing. He was starting to get dementia at that time, at the end of his 30 years that he wanted to play.
Yeah.
But I'm not bragging or nothing, but he always called me, or if he told, he's their number one player. Well, maybe he just liked me or something.
Yeah.
But I played what I could.
Right.
A lot of people say I was good. Probably just to make me feel good, maybe.
Do you have an all-time favorite concert or event that you played in your whole life? A highlight of your music career?
I never really did any big unit things. I would play it at the auditorium, had a few things put on that they needed violin or else guitar. I played with the symphony orchestra one time, just rhythm guitar though. Okay. And it was a lady from Toronto was teaching around Saskatoon, in Saskatoon. And she asked me if I wanted to play with a symphony. Well, I said, I don't know what I would do, but it was a thing.
Nice.
And they give you a little thing saying you played with the symphony. Well, that was something.
Cool.
As for a big bunch of people, I never did play. I don't think with anything.
And you still play the fiddle to this day? Are you still?
I had one of the worst things you ever want to do. One of the worst things I've ever done.
Yeah. I
was cutting lawn at one of my daughters, and I cut the top of this finger off and damaged this one. And I still can't feel. Just I can play with the thing I put over the short finger to make it up a little bit, and I can play my violin. Sometimes not great. Just depends how much tape I put on this finger, because otherwise my little finger would rub on that third finger. So I tried guitar, and I loved to play my guitar, and I can't find anything good enough. I can play single note things, but I loved playing fingerstyles so bad that's what I miss the most.
Yeah.
So, and Batoche was you've heard of Batoche maybe?
Yeah.
And I was playing where I live now was a home for senior Métis.
Okay.
And we had a fiddle player. His name is JJ Guy. Supposed to be the fiddle player at the place where I live. So I'd go down and play with him. That was before I cut this. and I'd show him. He wasn't the greatest player, but he was a very nice guy, and he did play. He played fiddle and guitar, and I showed. He said himself. He says, "I sure learned a lot." He was telling my daughter, "I sure learned a lot of guitar from him, from me."
Yeah.
And it made me feel good, although by then I had this accident and I couldn't play no more. I'm trying to play the 5-string banjo again. I just brought one of my banjos up and tried to play it. It's taken a little while, but I'd still like to play some instrument.
Yeah.
It really didn't bother me too much at the time that I cut my finger off. Because I thought, well, I think, 88 years old by then.
Yeah.
Maybe I figured maybe I should just retire from playing. So anyway.
So you've been playing for 75 years. In your lifetime, can you name a couple songs that you think you have played more times than any other song? Hundreds
well, I'll
of times?
tell you this. After I got married, I'll go into my marriage. I have my wife was Donna from the same town, Maidstone, where I'm from, and we had 2 girls and a son. Three kids.
Mm-hmm.
And the time, I remember I rented a little house. It wasn't that big. And all I had was a little place to play, learn. I was still playing lots and learning songs. I played this song that Chet had recorded, and it was called Yakety Yaks. It was written by another guy. I was going to look that up today and I forgot. But anyway.
Was it Boots Randolph, maybe?
Boots Randolph did play with Chet and them play that, but
yeah, Boots Randolph wrote it also.
Yeah.
He wrote the song.
Yeah.
There you go. So you played that one lots?
But I was learning this one, and of course I had my guitar electrified, and I tried to learn this Yakety Yaks, and it was few tricky licks, but I finally got where it was playable to play out. But since that time, I try to play it again, and I listen more to Chet. There's a few nice little wee licks that I could have put in and should have. You know, when you play guitar, you never want to say that I can do anything on the guitar. You don't want to say that too much, because another guy will come along, he'll play the same tune probably twice as good as you can play it. But anyway, that's the way it was, and that's one of the songs that my wife says, I hate that song.
Yeah.
And I kind of liked it. It was not easy to play, but it was.
Yep.
you know, and like
It's a good
that.
challenge.
But I've played different jamborees and stuff and had fun playing at them. Not always big bunch of people, but people that became fans of mine. I know. I recorded some music, and I had an outfit with, I think, 6-channel recording, and
Yeah, and you made the
and I've
Old Time Fiddle CD.
Oh yeah, that's the first one I ever did, I think.
2002. You
Oh,
released
yeah.
a CD
Yeah.
with Maple Sugar and Red River Jig and a whole bunch of classics on it, right?
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Excellent. Wow.
And yeah, I had fun doing them. And I'd sell a lot of fiddle records that I made there. A friend of mine, we'd be at chuck wagon races. A friend of mine was the announcer.
Yeah.
And he says, if you want to listen to some fiddle music or something, I had a van, said, already tell them, just go see Lenny. He'll give you one.
Excellent.
Or sell you one.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Well, it's been so nice to talk to you. We've talked about so many great things. I know you could talk all day. You got a good memory. You're remembering all these wonderful things. You got a final story to tell us? To sum up our interview?
What did you say?
Which would you say, out of guitar and fiddle, is it a tough one to pick? Which one you think is your favorite?
You know, my favorite is guitar. I always wanted to be a guitar player, but now when I go around, or if I'm at something at the museum, there's functions going on there, I meet somebody, says, and they'll say, how's the fiddle player doing today? I said, yeah, I go along with them anyway. It was nice that they knew that I played fiddle. Nobody hardly mentioned guitar. What's that? What am I not doing right?